Hello, I have finally finished my agenda sketchbook. As in, it's an agenda, but I draw sketches in it. I won this agenda in a contest on Instagram from the Asterix publishers Hachette. Asterix is a comic book here in Europe. There's still new albums being made. Anyway, since I didn't really have an use to it, because I'm terrible at using planners to plan anything, I decided to use it as a sketchbook. And since Asterix is a comic about the French during the Roman Empire times, also known as Gaulois, which were a part of Celts in Europe, I decided to fill the entire agenda with Gaulois-inspired characters. I took a lot of inspiration from their warrior looks. There's also some characters that I had already drawn years before, because I made them as Gaulois so they fit within the theme of the sketchbook. But I don't think I should do themed sketchbooks like this, because after a while I think they are too similar, and it's a bit boring having to draw the same theme over and over. It's why this sketchbook took so long to do. I had other sketchbooks I've been working on the side, because I just felt like drawing other stuff that didn't fit with this theme. At the start of this one, I wanted to keep it all in ink, but I quickly changed my mind and started adding color to some of them. I also went through a few ballpoint pens during this sketchbook. This one I left in pencil, and this is highlighter. I think this is the first drawing I did when I received the sketchbook. I just drew my character on the day I received it. All of them are drawn in pencil first, and then inked with ballpoint pen. I chose ballpoint pen because it's the only one that didn't bleed through. I did try with the regular ink, but since it was bleeding through, I prefer just to stick to ballpoint pen. I tried to practice some poses too, not just different designs. So I filled it with a lot of 3/4 poses, as in 3/4 of the character is showing. Most of these I have recorded, and I've been uploading them here as short videos. The good thing about ballpoint pen, it's sometimes you can do very soft variations in hatching. Something that is very hard to do with regular pen and ink. At least that's what I find from experience. And on a lot of these you can still see the pencil sketches. I didn't erase them. I think it's fine if it stays like that. I don't think it detracts from the look. I think sometimes it even helps. Here I started adding color. I used watercolor for the coloring. Since it worked, it didn't break the page. I just kept using watercolors for some of them. I didn't use too much watercolor though, just one layer, just in case. I don't want the paper to break. These ones I didn't like, so I left them as pencil sketches. Some of these watercolors look very light. It's because it's not my regular watercolors. This one I didn't like it either, so I left it unfinished. This one, even though I colored it, I didn't like the final look. Some of these characters are meant to be demons or witches, or just regular people. I just did a mix of everything, but they're all fantasy characters. This one I used highlighters, but I didn't like the drawing, so I didn't even bother finishing it. Same with this one. This one is better, but only slightly. I just find it's too light, like the watercolor is too light. Sometimes I feel like I liked the sketch, but I ruined it in the end with the ink. Now this one, the eyes are just bizarre. And his hands are weird, like it needs some better proportions there. I didn't like this drawing, so I abandoned it. This one is cute, although the color is very light. It's those cheap watercolors. Same here, it's like it fades super fast. Sometimes I just feel like doing ink. I don't like this one though. I feel like I could have drawn a better face. Here I messed up the character's proportions, so I didn't continue this one. I could just erase it and try again, but sometimes I feel like it's better to just move on, learn from the mistake and try again on another page. Some portraits. Sometimes I just feel like drawing portraits, but I prefer the ones with a more elaborate pose. I like when the hands are included in the pose. This one is a failed hand, but at least it gave me a chance to practice it. I don't know what to say about these ones, except that they are okay. I like this one a lot because of the armor. I like the greenish yellow and the red on the hair. This one is terrible, I didn't even finish it. Even if it's just a back view, I don't like the proportions and the perspective is off. I think I gave this one a forehead too big, but since she has big eyes and tiny chin, she has a babyish look, which I find very unsettling. This one is cute and I used Posca pens for the yellow on the hair. Another warrior. A random peasant, but I like this one. I can't remember, but I probably referenced the pose for practice. I like to add the feathers sometimes, because of the characters in Asterix, and because of the actual gaulois, they put feathers too sometimes. It's a bit hard to tell, because there's not that many info on this culture, not that I found anyway. So a lot of it is just me mixing stuff in my imagination, or from comics like Asterix. This was supposed to be some sort of mermaid demon. Her tail didn't fit the page. Maybe I should have drawn full-size characters, but because I really like to draw faces, I tried to do 3/4 look. Since the pages are small-sized, if I do a full figure, I wouldn't get to practice drawing the faces. This one I really feel like I got lazy on the hand. I like this portrait because of the strokes of the ink. I like it when I can do different directions with the ink strokes. This one is terrible. I really feel like the facial features are a mess, especially over here. This one's okay though, it's very simple. This one I like a lot. When I colored her, she kinda reminded me of that Wendy Burger logo. So if she was a gaulois, this is what she would look like. This one's a warrior with a shield. I like this one, mostly the pose and the outfit. This one is bad. It's a no. I like this one, but I remember that I liked the sketch more. I think the tattoos on his face were slightly different, but when I added the watercolor, it covered the markings and I couldn't really follow the initial sketch. I didn't like this one, so I didn't finish it. Same with this. Although I like the face, I thought the body was too elongated, so I just gave up and moved on. I was going for a demon or witch look, but I didn't really like this design. I see it now and I'm like,
gross, what was I thinking?
This is a peasant girl with a snake. Another unfinished one, with some proportion issues again. The head is too small in comparison with the rest of the body. Here I was drawing another back view, but I wasn't very inspired by this one, so I just let it go. I feel like this one could have been nice. I really like the curly hair, but I didn't like the face, so it's another I just ignored and moved on. Another portrait. I like this one, especially the darker, thicker lines around the hair. This one I like too. It's some guy with a flower. I like how his face turned out. I kind of liked her face, but the pose I just didn't feel it. It's just awkward. This one is all kinds of wrong. I only used ink for this one. Sometimes I got tired of always doing watercolor and ink, so I just did inks. An uninspiring back view. Another character I didn't really like. I tried drawing an animal for this one. I love dogs, but I'm not very good at drawing them. And to be fair, I don't really practice drawing them much. I should though. I like this one. I wanted to draw something different, so I went with an underwater dragon. I like the colors, the blue-green, and I added some touches of pink, especially around the eyes and the nose. The pages are coming out now. This is a woman's portrait. I like it again because of the strong blacks and the hatching. When it's all moving in one direction, I find it looks more polished. Some sort of arrogant lady. This is another warrior. This one is not with ballpoint pen. I don't know the actual term of this. I guess it's just pen. The ink is different. I don't know if you can tell the difference. It looks different to me. Anyway, I like the pose. This one is supposed to be some sort of demon character. This one too. I like this kind of witch mermaid, and I like how her hair turned out. I chose to make it like some sort of alga kind of hair. I like this one too. This is a character I've drawn before, and this time with a mask. A portrait sketch. Another 3/4 character pose. And wow, the pages really are coming out now. This one, I think the face didn't come out right. Like maybe his eyes are too close to each other. This one, I feel like I ruined it. I liked it at first as a sketch, but by the time I noticed the eyes being loop-sided, I already had inked them. So to try and solve it, I tried to cover one of his eyes with ink, but it didn't help.
Sad.
A portrait. I like using ballpoint pen, but I prefer it when the ink is darker than this. Just a random unfinished one. I like this one a lot, and I think it's good with ink and color, but I feel like it would have looked better if the ink was darker. Also, maybe I should have colored her lips with a lighter red to make it more natural. I wasn't going for a lipstick red look, but that's what it looks like at the moment. Anyway, I like the horns and the tattoos on her face and body. I didn't finish this one. You can tell she was supposed to be holding a weapon, like a sword or a spear, but I just didn't get to it. I kind of like this one. Usually I pick brown, blues or greens for the outfits, because they look more natural and more similar to what the gaulois used to wear in colors. But it's okay if I also use some fantasy on the colors as well. Anyway, none of these are historically accurate, they are just based on them. I didn't like this one, so I didn't finish it. I just find sometimes I do the proportions too long, like his neck and the limbs. Well, as you can see, the rest of the pages just completely came out. Which is strange because I haven't really abused this agenda. I never take it anywhere. I just worked on it in the house. I like his hair, but the shadows are not good. They are very messy, like the shadows on the face and the neck. This one is okay, but I don't like much the face. I didn't manage to get the features right. I tried to keep it simple by not using too many lines, but maybe it didn't work. This one I like more, even though the pose is not showing the hands. And I wish I had added some shadows here on the waist. I tried to draw another dog, but
No.
just no. Just thinking, I don't like the eyes. Sometimes some of my facial features can look a bit lazy and quickly drawn, so it's something I need to work on. Here I like her face, but the hand is very stylized, and I think I should have worked more on it before jumping onto the inking. I like this one. I like the facial features, the pose, and I like that in the sketch I did some shading with the pencil, and you can still see it through the watercolor. And I think it helped with the face. A portrait. Here I am using darker watercolors, which I think look really well with the darker ink. This one was looking good, yet I kind of ruined it in the hair. In the inking I went all over with the direction of the strokes. It looks very messy. I feel like it ruined the sketch. This is better in terms of the direction of the strokes. It just makes it look so much better. And I like the darker watercolor too. The inking is okay in this one. I just think it would look nice if the strokes were darker. And maybe if I used more solid blacks on the shadows. I didn't finish this one, I just didn't like the hairpiece or crown. This one has the usual long proportions problem. Same for this one, I don't like it. And the arm is not correct, like the anatomy is not right. Surprisingly, I like this one so far, even though I don't think I like the sketch. I finished it anyway, and I guess it worked out. Another warrior character. For the next sketchbook, I should really practice drawing weapons because, due to the size, most of the weapons don't fit on the page, or I just drew them as generic sword shapes. It would be nice to be more creative with the weapons too. I don't know why I drew this weird mask, but it's okay. I like this one a lot. I like how her face came out. Since I wanted her to have really pale skin, I just used the red watercolor as the shadow and left the rest as the white of the paper. It came out nice, I think. I like this one too. It's a strange haircut and curly. I thought it looked cute. Most of the characters have fur coats, but for her I gave her a feather coat. Another random character. Two issues I see are the hand here. Even though it's not really shown much of it, I'm sure it is wrong. And his left eye seems bigger. I didn't like how the sketch came out, so I didn't continue it. This one? I don't like this one. And I should use reference to practice those arms. It just feels wrong. I like the colors mostly. I think they do a nice combination, but I find his arm is too long in my opinion. And that is the end of this agenda sketchbook. Overall, it was good to practice different poses and to practice inking, especially faces at this size of the paper. It can be hard to show the details. The ink and watercolor was a good mix too, and now I know it looks better if I try to darken the watercolor more. It's hard with this paper because it's not made for a wet medium, so it could break easily. And now I have an idea of what to work on for the next sketchbooks. Thanks for watching and have a great day.